Amelia was fired for violating the dress code, unaware that she was the CEO's daughter sent undercover to expose bias. What happened next would shock even the most seasoned observers. But let's start from the beginning. Amelia Thompson, a young and talented black woman, steps into the office of Stanton Enterprises for the first time. Her vibrant professional attire, accented with elements of her cultural heritage, draws the attention of her colleagues. She greets a few employees, sensing a mix of curiosity and tension in the air. Over the years, Amelia has grown accustomed to guarded looks, but today feels different. She believes her expertise and determination will help her succeed. The morning meeting gathers in the conference room. Robert Blake, a white middle manager, leads the discussion. His gaze lingers on Amelia, longer than it does on anyone else. When she raises her hand to share an idea for a new project, Robert interrupts. "Before we continue, Amelia, I'd like to address your outfit. It doesn't quite align with our company's dress code." A tense silence falls over the room. Colleagues avoid looking at Amelia. In a steady tone, she replies, "I believe my attire is entirely professional and compliant with company policy." Robert smirks. "Perhaps in another setting, but not here. Next time, please make an effort to align with corporate culture." Humiliated in front of her peers, Amelia continues contributing to the discussion, maintaining outward composure. After the meeting, a few co-workers quietly apologize for Robert's behavior. One whispers, "This isn't the first time. Robert often acts this way, especially toward newcomers." Throughout the day, Amelia notices Robert's attention remains fixed on her. He critiques her report for unclear formatting and comments on her speaking style during meetings. By lunch, it's clear to her the issue isn't her attire, it's that she has become a target of his bias. At the end of the day, Robert summons her to his office. "You don't seem to understand," he says, gesturing toward her outfit. "This is the last time I'll bring it up. Get yourself in line or look for another job." Gathering her confidence, Amelia responds, "I respect the company's policies and my culture. If this is an issue for you, perhaps the problem isn't me." Robert smirks. "We'll see." Amelia leaves his office, tension thick in the air. She knows this is only the beginning of a larger battle. The next day, Amelia arrives at work with renewed determination. She chooses a neutral outfit that strictly adheres to the dress code, eliminating any room for criticism. However, from the moment she arrives, Robert finds reasons to undermine her. During a meeting, he interrupts her, dismissing her ideas. "That's not a bad idea, but perhaps we should hear from someone with more experience." Colleagues avert their eyes, and Amelia realizes Robert's goal is to silence her. Later, he calls her into his office under the guise of reviewing her reports. "Your documents look sloppy," he declares, tossing the folder onto the desk. "This is unacceptable for a company of our caliber." Amelia opens the folder and sees her work is flawless. "My work meets all standards," she replies firmly. Robert shrugs. "Perhaps, but the small details matter. Be more precise." By lunch, Amelia feels the situation has escalated beyond professionalism. A few co-workers quietly offer words of support. "This isn't right. We can see you're working harder than most of us." Yet the majority remains silent, afraid of falling out of Robert's favor. After lunch, the conflict reaches a boiling point. Robert storms into the open office with visible frustration. "Amelia," he announces loudly, drawing everyone's attention. "We've already discussed your approach to work. It seems you refuse to accept constructive criticism." Amelia, recognizing this public humiliation as a recurring tactic, calmly replies, "I've broken no rules. If you have concerns, we can discuss them privately." Robert smirks. "There's no need. Consider this your last day. You're fired." The office falls into stunned silence. Some co-workers glance at Amelia, others at Robert. Holding back her emotions, Amelia gathers her belongings. "Thank you for the experience," she says, looking Robert squarely in the eye. As she walks out, murmurs ripple through the office. One colleague breaks the silence. "This has gone too far." At that moment, Amelia realizes the truth will come to light. She leaves with her head held high, knowing this is not the end of her journey, but the beginning of her fight for justice. The next morning, Robert feels triumphant. He prepares for the weekly leadership meeting, eager to boast about how he improved discipline in the team. As he enters the conference room, he senses an unusually tense atmosphere. Sitting in the chairman's seat is Christopher Stanton, the company's CEO, and next to him is Amelia. Robert freezes in his tracks. "Take a seat, Mr. Blake," Christopher says calmly. As soon as Robert sits down, Amelia speaks. Her voice is steady but firm. "I'm here to address an important issue: systemic bias within our department." Robert begins to mumble a response, but Christopher silences him with a gesture. "Amelia is my daughter," Christopher announces. "She worked undercover in your department to assess the internal culture of this company. The results she provided are staggering." Christopher opens a folder filled with documents. In front of everyone, he begins to read Amelia's report, which details numerous instances of bias, humiliation, and violations of corporate ethics. "Mr. Blake," Christopher continues, locking eyes with Robert, "your management style has created an atmosphere of fear and oppression. Yesterday's dismissal of Amelia was the final straw. You have violated both professional and ethical standards." Robert stammers. "Sir, I was simply enforcing company standards. Her behavior and approach to work raised concerns." Christopher cuts him off sharply. "Her behavior? Or your inability to see the value of a person beyond their appearance? Your actions contradict every principle this company stands for." A secretary enters the room and hands Christopher a set of documents. "Your resignation has been signed," Christopher announces, placing the papers in front of Robert. "We cannot allow such practices to continue." The rest of the employees in the room watch in silence. Robert stands, pale and humiliated, and leaves without a word. Amelia, feeling a sense of quiet triumph, rises from her seat. "I'm grateful for this opportunity," she says. "My goal is not punishment, but change. We will start by re-evaluating our corporate culture." Christopher adds, "Amelia will lead the development of our inclusion and equity program. We will ensure that no employee ever feels marginalized or devalued." The CEO's words are met with nods of approval. It is clear, the company is entering a new chapter. With Robert's departure, the office begins to feel like it is awakening from a long slumber. Employees cautiously discuss the recent events, and the revelation that Amelia is the CEO's daughter stirs a mix of emotions: relief for some, guilt for others who had remained silent. One thing is certain: change is inevitable. Amelia steps into her new role as head of the inclusion department. Her first task is to hold a team meeting where she speaks candidly. "I know many of you were afraid to speak up, but I want this workplace to be one where every employee feels valued." Colleagues who once avoided her gaze now begin to ask questions and share their experiences. One employee admits, "I always knew Robert's methods were wrong, but I was afraid of losing my job." Amelia responds with understanding. "That's not your fault, but together we can make sure no one ever feels cornered like that again." She also launches a series of training sessions on cultural awareness and bias prevention. Formerly silent employees begin to openly discuss issues that had been ignored for years. Gradually, the office atmosphere shifts, becoming friendlier and more supportive. Meanwhile, Robert becomes a subject of scorn outside the company. His name circulates in professional circles as an example of failed leadership. Amelia takes no pleasure in this, but she knows that justice has prevailed. Within months, the results of her efforts are undeniable. New employees join the company, drawn by its reputation for valuing diversity and respect. At an all-hands meeting, one colleague tells Amelia, "Thanks to you, I'm proud to work here again." The culmination of these changes is a corporate event where Christopher gives a speech. Amelia has shown us the importance of not only recognizing problems, but taking action. She reminded us that the future of this company lies in the hands of every employee. Amelia takes the stage to a round of applause. "This is just the beginning," she says. "We will achieve so much more if we work together." Her story spreads beyond the company, inspiring other organizations to reevaluate their own practices. For Amelia, this is not just a personal victory, but proof that justice, hard work, and staying true to one's values can truly change the world.